reach out to that party and say, hey, we understand you're lost. However, based on this, we can't do it. Is there somehow, some way we can assist in the removal or give you time to remove? And just work with them. Again, grief is something that many people have dealt with, I've dealt with, and it's not easy to just turn off. So as you can see, there is no, the ordinance was written specifically like legal to leave some open way and gray area for those type of circumstances to come up.
Right.
Again, we don't want to be a city that's unreasonable to our fellow resident.
And lastly, I just want to know how the fines were determined.
I researched other cities' fines and fees, so other Indiana cities, I looked at a few outside of Indiana, but this was pretty typical for what, Valpo and other cities with these kind of ordinances have. And with the repeat people, we raised it a bit, but.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Councilman Halliburton.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the way here driving here, I know I spoke with Chief of Staff. One of the graffiti artists, his name is Toz, T-O-Z or something like that, T-O-S. He's tagging the entire city, and Chief of Staff just told me he tagged some of the new poles, light poles that we have just placed up. I've noticed that even with the Checker Flag restaurant that's located in 5th District, it's not open all the time, but the electrical box is it's a mess now. It was originally just one tag. Now there's about 20 or 30 tags all over the place. Does this ordinance also include with the merchants, the property owners on the Broadway area, in the summer when the trees and the weeds and everything else grow around them, the stores, are they going to be responsible for cleaning that up as well?
So this just addresses the graffiti. We have ordinances that make property owners responsible for everything that's like, their property all the way to the street. So if I have a store on Broadway and I got 3-foot tall weeds between me and the street, then I can already get a ticket from code enforcement for having that and not maintaining it or not shoveling the snow and all those kind of things.
Right.
So those things are already in place. If you want to toughen those ordinances, that's another conversation we can have.
No, I'm just thinking that if we're gonna make these merchants aware of this new ordinance, we're gonna be mailing that to them. We should also mail that one to them as well.
Okay.
So that they can be mindful, so that when they get fined for one or either one of them, they can't scream they didn't know about it.
Okay.
And it's not
Yes,
really
sir.
the merchant's fault. It's the owners. Most of our merchants don't even own the buildings. They rent the buildings.
Right.
So it's the owner of the buildings that I'm concerned about.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we can certainly make sure that happens. And then just note for the graffiti, the people who like to do the tagging and all that, so they can be fined under this ordinance, but they can also get charged by the police with criminal mischief. So, and that's a state law that has fines and penalties attached to it. So, this adds teeth to our local ordinance, but the police certainly always have had the ability to go after them for criminal mischief when they do all that you're talking about, people who leave their tags all over town. And we've, our chief of staff can talk more about folks we've caught lately, but we've caught at least one of those real prolific.
Are we going to do a shame piece on this?
We wouldn't say that publicly, sir. We would say that we're going to kindly share any public information, arrest records with the general public should those become available.
Okay.
We would kindly share those with it, so not necessarily shame for legal purposes, but we will share those publicly. Our task force has been at it, and kudos to our code that have been running the evening and night shifts, excuse me. They've had some great success, and I believe there's probably going to be even more of a revealing at the mayor's State of the City address on the 29th of some of those successes as well.
Okay, good.
I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Miles Tolliver, a councilman at large. Any more questions, Councilman?
Yes.
Councilman Washington.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Halliburton. Can you get into the process of what the police have to see in order to arrest a person? Because I got a call stating that some people were caught tagging a building downtown and the police was there, but they let them go. So do they have to actually catch them in the act? Or if they're going down the street and someone says, hey, you know, I saw them tagging the building, is that good enough? What's the process to ensure that the procedures are followed, and how do you actually charge someone with tagging? Do you have to actually see them do it, or is there witnesses? that have to be-
Great question, Councilman. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Tagging or vandalism is a misdemeanor, so it falls under the misdemeanor witness rule, which means either police has to catch someone in the act, or we have to have a credible witness that's willing to be identified and testify to it. There's always an opportunity once we identify someone to go back and charge them later. We can long form them, which is arresting them and sending them home and getting them later. We can give them a citation, which allows us to gather more evidence, and it also allows us to use the information that we have from our real-time crime center with license plate readers and other evidence gathering tools within the city to see if they did anything else, which we can add to those charges.
Any more questions, colleagues?
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Wilson, you have a question? No. This is going to be a public portion. We have Mr. Jim Nowicki. Public portion.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the council. My name is Jim Nowacki. I live in the 2nd District, and I know that from reliable sources in the police department, nobody has ever been arrested for graffiti vandalism in the city. As they'd mentioned, it's called criminal mischief, which sounds a bit innocuous. The council may be familiar with actions taken by previous administrations in this city, where under the Freeman-Wilson administration, an open invitation was made to the tagging and the graffiti community that the mayor wanted to implement a public art program. The result of that was, you can see very plainly on the public parking lot by the bank on 5th Avenue. You can also see at the Genesis Center parking structure on 4th Avenue, covered with graffiti. This was a component of Mayor Freeman Wilson's public art initiative. And the artists, once word got out that Gary was inviting taggers and graffiti artists to our city, in fact, encouraging them to use all of their creative abilities in our city. Everyone in this room can remember it wasn't 8 years ago that the city had no graffiti. No graffiti. I know that I made a mental note in my mind for the first 15 years that I've lived in this city, that I said, you know, this is probably the only city I've ever seen where there is no graffiti. Well, we remedied that situation, and now we're seeing that the results
Mr.
of that,
Nowacki?
that not only
Mr.
do we have a
Nowacki.
problem
Mr.
with
Nowacki?
graffiti,
Your time
but
is
we
up.
have no ability to address it except pains of fines for citizens who are the victims of the
Mr.
Mr.
Nowacki,
Nowacki,
your time is up.
your time is up, Mr.
Your
Nowacki.
time is up.
place for graffiti. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry for that. I'm a little excited. Thank you.
I want to piggyback. I know our public works director, she was on her way to the podium to discuss the method on how to take care of, or the method on how we're going to remove it.
Thank you. Good evening to the council. So what we have done so far is we are literally in the process of procuring equipment for the graffiti abatement. A lot of locations have been identified, and we're starting on the main corridors, and of course, we're starting with publicly owned properties. So you can expect to see I would say within the next 30 days. The mayor has actually instructed us until our equipment arrives that we can use contractors to help with it. As Carla pointed out, there's just been a real uptick over the last year or so in graffiti, particularly among the landowners that kind of run derelict properties because they seem to be more attractive for graffiti. I don't ever remember a time in the city of Gary, I'm born and raised here, where there hasn't been some form of graffiti, but it is clear that there has been a real proliferation in recent times. So our team is working, we've put together a graffiti team that's comprised of some of the members from our demolition, from our public works team, so you'll start to see these folks on the streets very soon. So in addition to procuring equipment for the Public Works Department.
Any more questions from the councilman? Well, thank each and every one for coming out, engaging in this meeting. Time is 5:50. This concludes the meeting. Thank you.